Good morning. From memory, it's the 11th of February 2005, and I was asked there to give a few of the accounts of wind farms. I've been down working. I'm just in for a cup. It's a wet, miserable day. You really would feel it. And it's very hard on heat, and if you're out, you just let the heat go off. Wind farm accounts. Now, this is some of the stuff I have in my dossier. Now, what happened was in 2016, I checked the accounts of several wind farms in Ireland and the UK. Now, you can do this because I'm giving you the account number. You simply go into the company records office, put in the account number. You might find it difficult to find the wind farm, but if you have the account number, it's no problem. But you can find it on the name as well. And then you get the set of accounts and you follow it down through, and they have to publish their accounts every year. They're usually about a year late, so you won't get them for last year now yet. Now, these are nearly all a bit out of date because, as I say, I didn't keep it updated. Nobody wanted to know. Now, I submitted this to several public consultations. That's why I did it. And also, I submitted it to banks to try and kill investment in wind farms. But big time is this trend of our government to get teachers and nurses to give their gratuity to wind farms. You never see a penny of it again. I mean, this is a malicious thing to do. And people vote. People can say, I didn't do so well in the election. However, people vote for corrupt politicians that will actually try to take a little bit of life savings from a nurse or a teacher who has served the country for so long. It is a vicious thing to do. But anyway, here is one, Bonmore. Now, I did a few in English as well, but this was in Ireland, Bonmore. I'm not sure where this one, but then you can get it yourself. The company account is 471912. So that means it's an Irish company. 471912. And its profit is €144,000. And it would need to pay off a debt of €3.2 million. So it can never pay that off. So it's propped up by a parent company. Understand? It's €3 million it has to come up with. Now, the next thing is Glen Carbur. This is the one John Lang owned. The company accounts number is 470914. 470914. 470914. The sales this was about 2017. The sales were 5.8 million. The cost of sales. Now, in a set of accounts, you have the cost of sales. So if you're running a shop, the cost of sales would be your staff, your rent, your rates, your electricity, and buying in your shoes, your clothes, or whatever you're selling. That's the cost of sales. Then there's the administration expenses, which goes on top of that. So the cost of sales is 1.1 million. So the gross profit is 4.743980. I'll call that again. 4,743,980. The administrative expenses is 2,029,521. 2,029,521. So the operating profit is 2.7 million, or 2714459. But the loan interest is 2,156,141, and they paid that. So the operating profit is 2.7 and the loan interest is 2. Now, you see, they have a good lot of borrowing. If they could get shareholders, they'd have no loan and they wouldn't have to pay the shareholders. That's why it's so vicious. If they pay shareholders, it's not out of genuine profits. Right? So now, the Glen Carbur wind farm here cost 70 million. 70 million. And if you look at the profit before tax, this is when you take the loan interest from the operating profit. It's 658,316,658,000. It costs 70 million, and you divide that by the profit before tax, 658,000, and it'll be 106 years when it's paid off. And it has only 23 years left when this was written. So it cannot pay off. Now, it wrote down 8 million out of this one. And John Lang, that owned it at the time, had wind farms in Germany and had to write down 55 million in total cost. But this one was 8 million. There's 175,000 sorry, no, he had to write down his share price from 175,000 to 35. Right? Get that again. Oh yeah, the share price fell from 175 to 35 because the consumers knew. So here's an example of the share people knowing that this is a loss. Do you understand? So why are they still able to sell shares? This is the point. There is a racket somewhere. There's some illegal money or something going into it. So there is John Lang's Glen Carbur, company number 47091. It would take it 106 years to write off its capital cost. 2,231. Now, here's another one. Listy in County Kilkenny. 9.2 megawatts, built in 2018. Its company number is 490019. 490019. In 2017, it still owed 13.7 million in its capital cost, and its losses for that year were 274,000. So you can see, once it's a loss, it can never pay anything. So Greencoat bought it at 22.5 million euros. So there's no more to say there. Here's Greencoat buying an entity that is guaranteed to make a loss. It can be looked at since to see that it make any improvement. Okay, now Kwin Wind Farm, the company number again. I'm giving you the company number because you can check this yourself. You don't have to go through the grief to find it out. 845334. 845334. It's 108 megawatt. It's a huge one, 108 megawatt. It cost 280 million euros. It'll buy the county it's in. In 2017, there was some accounts, and there was accounts in 2018. So we'll see how it goes. It puts the current assets, that's the assets if people owe it and what it's owed and all that, but not including the site and all that, the capital cost, the current assets. That's what you owe to, what you have to pay out in the next year. 20.8 million, and current liabilities is 20.3 million. So there's only 500,000 of disposable income when it pays the difference in what it owes and what it takes in. It had 13.3 million in loans. 13.3 million in loans. It had 91,000 euros in share capital. So good luck to them. Long-term liabilities, that's what this company would now need to pay when this was done, right, is 173 million. So it must have paid off a bit of its original. So long-term liabilities is, and this was built in 2018, is 173 million. I'm not sure how it can bring the capital cost down from 280 million to 173 million, but we won't worry about it for the moment. So the loss was 502,000 in 2017, and there was a profit in 2018 of 5.8 million. So again, I can't say. But no matter how you look at it, at that average profit, it'll take 30 years to pay it. And it only has a 20-year lifespan. So straight away, it cannot pay. And Listy, Listowney, it could be one of the better ones. But it's still taken a third as long to pay it off. And don't forget, the output will degrade. It's one we look at again at some stage. Now, the ESB owns Woodhouse, part owned by the ESB, built in 2015, so it's established a bit. The number is 339908. 339908, I think it is. Yeah, anyway, built in 2005. So this is Woodhouse. It cost 33 million. It's 20 megawatts. The assets of it were given at 16.5 million. The profit was 432 million, and it'll take 38 years to pay it off. 38 years, so it'll be long gone by the time, and long torn down by the time it has to be paid off. It's owned by DSB, and there's the situation there, probably loaded on your bill. Okay, Woodhouse Wind Farm. Derry Brine Wind Farm, this is the famous wind farm, owned by DSB, 984301. 984301. So the counts are 2017, 2016. So we'll take a look at it. It was built a good while ago, about 2005 around there. So it's up and running a while. And then there was the legal cases with the European Commission. We'll keep away from that for the minute. The turnover was 5.5 million and the cost of sales was 5.8. In other words, they were getting in a cheque for 5.5 million, but the cost of that, when they paid the insurance and paid everything out of it, and the loan and everything else, was 5.8, so they lost 0.3 million on it. So that's it. So there was a loss of 10 million in 2017. Sorry, just leave. Aye, and then they got the ESB gave them 10 million off your ESB bill, and then the loss was only 1.3 million. It's a hopeless case. It's shut down anyway. So there you are. They had to give them 10.1 million to keep them solvent. Now, Minty Cat. It's owned by SSE Electricity. It's 88 megawatts, built in 2004, 43 turbines. So its number is 33833. 338333. Okay? There's all a 6 in the number, isn't there? Yeah, 2. Yeah, 2. Yeah, 338333. So it's we look at it here now. It cost, I think it says here, 72 million. Anyway, you see, I have my laptop, so I can't read it, but I have to make a note of this on my smartphone for the moment. But it just gets me going. Now, so the net book value in 2017 was 44 million, right? The profit, average profit, this wind farm, by the way, will be finished in 2024. So it's already up. It might be running yet still though. But the average profit was 103. So I worked out, when you divide the profit into what's left to be paid, it'll be 2050 when it's all repaid. So it's 25 years till the cost of Minty Cat Wind Farm in Donegal can be paid from its residual money, what it has when it pays all its expenses. And it has to be pulled down soon. So there's 25 million, there's 25 years of paying on it. 25 years. Can't pay back from the bit of money it has. Now, Knockumber Wind Farm was built in 2013, so I like these mature ones. It made a loss in 2017 of 3.6 million. It received debt forgiveness, not sure who gave it, of 6.9 million. Debt forgiveness. It made a profit of 3.3 million in 2017 it made a loss of 3.6. So then when it got the bailout, it made a profit of 3.3, but that was due to the fact that it received a bailout. It's Knockumber. Oh, I didn't give you a number here, folks. Anyway, you might be able to find it there. Knockumber. It's down about Cork. So there's 133 million to be paid, and just like that, can't be paid. So that money's dead. The mechanism by which they bury it is not relevant. It'll be loaded on you, the consumer. Ballybane Wind Farm, 306647. It's a 20 megawatt. Now, it gives the balance sheet, but no profit and loss account. So shouldn't be right. But anyway, we can work out from the balance sheet. In 2017, it had a spare money of 144,000. And in 2016, it had a spare cash of 60,000 to 144 and 60 for the previous year, right? The average profit of this wind farm is 106,000 euros. Okay, 106,000 euros. In 2017, it owed 9 million. It showed money to be repaid as 47 million, and the profit after when they have all paid before tax is 106. So I calculated it'll be 446 years when that Ballybane wind farm will be repaid. 446 years. So this is 2025, so it'll be 2,446, and add 5 to that, 2,451. I'm counting from my head. That'll be, imagine 2,451. We'll not no one will even remember. It'd be like talking now about someone that lived 400 years ago. Like you're way back in 1604 and that. Teernane Wind Farm, it's in Meath, Cavan. This one was built too near people's houses. They've admitted they've given them money. They passed around money to them and bought them off. Well, they took money rather than sue. I'd have shut it down, but that's neither here nor there. So its number is 339206. In 2018, it made a loss of 36,000. It cost 17 million. It has 5 turbines. So they owed 7.5 million after a year and 11.6 after 2 years. They owed 19.3. That's 17 plus 2. That's they owed 90. They owed 17 on the capital cost, and they owed 2 for other things they had. They actually raised 400,000 in share prices. So what happened that share? Who got that? So we don't know. So 877 a year is what it brings in, and the cost was 17 million. So I haven't too good there, but that'll show you it's not any big. It's not a great. It's owned by National Toll Roads, and it's loss making. Be that there. Now they'll give you the number again if you want to check it. 339206. Now, right, that gives you a kind of a general idea, and I'll do more because it's 16 minutes. Essentially, when you build your wind farm, you then have to repay the money, either by shares. If you could get everyone to buy shares, they'll get nothing back. You don't owe them anything. You're laughing. But you won't sell any more shares in it. If you want to do bank loans, you have to pay the bank loan. There's no way out of that. So most of them have big loans. So when they get in their income, they have to take out their operating, their cost of sales out of that. That's fellows got up to fix it, rent to farmers and insurance and all that, and costs here and there, transport, telephone, insurance and all that. Right, they have to take that out. That leaves them then the operating profit. Well, then they have to do their administration expenses, which includes the loan. And when they pay the loan, they're always teetering on a little profit. Usually they might make a loss or they make a profit. It's always a little. But when you take what remains to be paid and divide it by the profit or the loss, you get the number of years that it can pay for itself. And that, at its best, is 30 years. I have one there, and it could pay maybe in 30 years, but that's a very early wind farm. When you take the mature ones with 10 years on the clock, you'll find that you're running into maybe 100 years to pay off the capital cost. So all of these accounts have auditors report on the going concern principle. If you have a company and it's not a going concern, you have to shut it down and warn your suppliers. So suppose in here I'm selling a product here. We say a cement mix with certain stone in it and different to give a certain colour, and I have various ingredients. My suppliers are selling to me. So they have to get paid. If I become insolvent and I'm not a going concern, I have to notify, because otherwise they'd keep supplying not knowing that I was gone. They could be still supplying not knowing you're gone. So once you don't have a going concern principle, you have to notify all concerned. But the exception to that is if some sugar daddy or somebody guarantees your costs. And that company has to be big enough to be able to carry those costs. And in the case of Teernane, it's National Toll Roads. They're collecting the fees along the road. So the government obviously cajoles them into buying wind farms. I don't think they bought any after Teernane. And you see the point. So to buy them. But the point is, once they're coming near their age, it has to become obvious. Once their period is up of 20 years or whatever it is, once it's up, What do you do? Your wind farm is now worthless and you owe 50 million. How do you handle that? Well, what they do is to throw that over on the ESB, SSE, someone that's in the business of selling the product like electricity, or a gas company. Bord Gosh got stung and understands they're not in it. That's why this place here is Bord Gosh. I find them good to deal with. But SSE is going bald-headed into this crack with more and more windmills, and then they're building fossil fuel places to balance it out. ESB is at it like there's no tomorrow. They're not accountable for anything. And they're building them in the North Sea. The North Sea ones will be just as difficult. They'll make no profit. The expenses will be massive. The cost of sales will be big. The administration expenses will be huge. And when they take all that away, they might have maybe 150,000 of a profit or whatever, and the repayments could be in the region of 200 million euros. So it'd be as far back as the plague when it'd be paid. That is an astounding fact, and it is the biggest question how that can be covered up. I'm beginning to suspect, looking at this US aid thing, there's a hidden fund to bail out these. There's a hidden fund. Investors are being told, you'll be all right, you go ahead, we look after you. And that could be what could be happening. It doesn't make any common sense at all. But it also explains why your electricity charges are so high, and higher they're going to get. Because in the end of the day, there's a limit to what companies can load on. It shouldn't be allowed. If people will only elect a government that will promote this fraud, that's the hard fact of it. And it shouldn't be allowed. There's no regulation, no financial regulator or anything. But that's what's happening. Now, we leave it at that, and maybe I'll get you one or two more companies again. I hope you can find them. Folks, it's only €2.50 to get the accounts of a wind farm company and get the up-to-date accounts. But you see, I know a lot of my readers wouldn't be able to read those accounts. I can read them backwards. And don't forget, my dossier has an accountant, not involved, but an accountant to check the figures, and an engineer to make sure what I wrote was right. The problem with my dossier, it's a bit out of date. It's dated. It's moved on. So we'll have another look at it. Amazing. It's just amazing. And I think the muggos around the place, they won't vote for anyone unless to tell them these lies. I think that's the story. Anyway, that's all I can do for you in 22 minutes. You either understand the concept now or you don't. No wonder the electricity is just going through the roof. I don't know what will be the end of that. Goodbye, and thank you very much.